of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now.
Okay, never mind. Just forgot to click something for Facebook to hear. Now they can
So
hear.
we've
Well,
been
it's
moving
been
our
on
lips.
it's been on the radio so people can hear. For those who are just joining us because can't hear
We
us
don't
on
have to start
Facebook.
over, do we?
No, I'm
Okay.
just gonna quickly say we're talking about the bond that's coming up for May 7th. We're talking. There's two propositions, A and B. We're talking about A currently. Um, and there's a lot of information, but the biggest thing to remember, guys, is we're going to give you a lot of places you can go look. You need to do your research. If you live in the city limits, you've got to get out and do your research. So, okay, let's go back to where we were. So
Where were
sorry.
we? Well, okay. Proposition A is where we're at. And that's the infrastructure.
Mhm.
And really what we're dealing with is the overload of growth.
Right.
And not just Burleson, but cars coming from Cleburne, from Joshua. All of those feeder lines come through here.
Mhm.
917 is just inundated.
Right.
They even put lights in. TxDOT put lights in, and it's still not managing all the growth on that.
Oh, no, it's not.
So we've got a lot of issues. There's plans to on Renfro to put double turn lanes at Centennial. And let's go while we're on Proposition A. If you go down through here and start looking at the individual projects,
Uh-huh.
and since we was cut off, I don't know if you got this little bit of information, but our staff did a great job on this
Yes.
book. In fact, I'm going to sound like a preacher here just for a second. If you'll look at the bottom of the page, there is a link, burlesontx.com/2022 bond.
Yes.
If you go to that, this brochure is on there. Click on presentations. This is on there. And when you turn to the last page, you've got these QR codes that you can also access that same information on your phone.
Okay.
But this is a great piece of work. I don't know if you mentioned this a while ago, but election day is May 7th.
Yes.
7 to 7. So that's the
So
final
May
day you
7th,
can vote.
7 to 7, Senior Activity Center, back room. Early voting starts Monday, April 25th, Tuesday, May 3rd, and polls are open from 8 to 5.
And that's also includes that Saturday, April 30th.
Right.
And May 1st.
And including Saturday and Sunday, actually.
Yes.
It says Saturday, April 30th and Sunday, May 1st. So it looks like polls will be open, even through the weekend. Here's the thing, guys. If you live in the city limits, this is when you need to be doing your research. You need to be getting one of these books, or you need to be going online. You need this book is wonderful.
It really is.
It really is great information. From the estimated cost of each little improvement.
And look down at the bottom of the page. You
Right.
see down at the bottom it says design.
Yeah.
Or it'll say design, construction. That tells you where it's at.
Right.
Now, and let me touch base on something else. When we're dealing with TxDOT, we get moved up to scheduling change when we do the engineering. If we pay for the engineering and get it done, we move up the list.
Uh-huh.
They like that.
Okay.
One of the things that could go wrong with that is TxDOT doesn't appreciate the design, to put it one way.
Okay.
That's the reason we work with them when we're doing this.
Okay.
If we wait on TxDOT to do the design and the engineering on it, it just takes forever. So this is one of the things that we do. We also have a new deputy city manager, Tommy Ludwig, that came from another town. And they have already been through this. So he has just been really great to visit with and help me out on this. Our city staff is phenomenal. I can't say
they are good staff, and they're good, hardworking. So Proposition A is pretty much about our streets.
And some sidewalks. There's a few sidewalks,
right?
But there's not any frills in it. There's not
it's
landscaping.
Stuff that is needed.
Absolutely.
So look into it, and you'll see that it's stuff that will be needed. Hey, a lot of us can remember when Burleson had one red light. So I don't even know how many we have anymore. I can't count.
Oh, I remember when we had the door company, we had jobs we had to do in Arlington.
Uh-huh.
and we could get it on 1187 and not stop until you got to
Right.
Mansfield.
Right.
I mean, it
it-
was just now, you know.
Yeah. Now it's stop, go, stop, go, stop,
Yes.
go. But that's the thing. And before we go to Proposition B, let's discuss how the bond committee and how the city staff, they've all looked into, look, a big concern was not raising the taxes. So let's discuss that.
Okay, that's easy. There's a lot of things involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got the county, you've got the ISD, all of this is in, and then you got the city. You look at this, and the driving factor right now is the valuations.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that's killing everything. So the state comes back and says, we have created an NNR. NNR is called no new revenue, meaning that the city can't benefit excessively on a valuation going up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're a percentage, basically what
Uh-huh.
it is. So the state is going and saying you need to reduce it. So we just had a huge drop by number.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time we get, at one time we had a 0.1 drop. The next time we recently has just had a 2.5, and that's still really not enough. And I'm going to explain some more here. And we're hoping for 3. Is it going to mean a lot to citizens? No.
Right.
Because the numbers that just came out is projecting a 20% increase in valuations in Tarrant County.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnson County is looking at a 23% increase. That's projections.
Mm-hmm.
So our 2.5 cents or our 3 cents, stuff like that. But we have to be careful about giving deductions. I'll use one thing in that will kind of set the tone for everything. Is we have fire trucks that gets 2 miles to the gallon. Okay.
Wow.
Yes. And diesel has gone up to over $5.
Yes.
Now, you think about that. Now that's something small, but all of our equipment has gone up. Our employees need raises to keep them here.
Right.
And we're our city manager is being great about increasing people's pay and keeping them where they want to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we got that job to keeping them here.
Right.
There's a lot of things involved. It's not that we don't want to drop our rate, but the evaluation keeps going up. We can't even stay up with that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So we're mindful of all of that. And we're a small part compared to other entities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You just got to be mindful of what our part is and what we have the ability to do.
Right. Right.
So, and now let's go down. Why is the rate not going up? Because we're getting $86 million.
Mm-hmm.
The bonds that we've had, we have paid down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we have a bond rating meeting, and it's hard to do this on radio, but there's a chart of what we owe.
Uh-huh.
And then there's an area here that is available to us on this bar stock that's available to us.
Uh-huh.
And then a growth area at the top.
Uh-huh.
As long as we stay in that middle area,
it won't.
Our payment's going to stay the same. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So we're not increasing our payment to get this money. The other side of that story is just because we get this money doesn't mean we're sucking it out all at once.
Right.
We still can look at each one of these projects. If the council deems it too expensive, or we need to reduce it or even eliminate it, we can do that on the fly.
Right.
We have not pulled the money out and we're not paying interest on it. But here's another thing from the business side. In one of the last couple of council meetings, they had a presentation. Our finance director gave a presentation. They had a pie chart up there, and he showed the percentage we was paying in interest. It's 1%. So the money that we're using to do these jobs, even if we had the money to do this kind of jobs,
Mhm.
we probably wouldn't want to use it anyway. We'd
Right.
probably want to borrow the 1% because of inflation and everything.
Right.
That is just phenomenal.
Mhm.
Now, will that 1% go up some? It will with this, but the way bonds work, it's really to our advantage to use that money.
Right.
I would love to have 1% money.
Me too.
That would be great. I'd get all that I could. So anyway, that's where we stand on it.
So basically, if this was a vote for yes, then we're not citizens that live in the city limit would not be seeing an increase
No,
in anything.
not from our rate.
What they will see is development of our streets or helping with the firemen and the police, which we'll get to on Proposition B probably after the break because it's a few minutes before. So really, I like how y'all honestly, I felt like there was a lot of thought put into this bond, and
you don't realize there was a lot of deals, and this goes back to, and we'll talk about it on the police department later.
Mhm.
But this didn't happen overnight. There
Right.
was a huge amount of thought process going it for probably a year and a half back, recognizing our needs and how we're going to deal with it. The development of these roads not only cleans them up and creates better passage, but it also makes that ground able to develop it.
Right. Right. I mean, it will not be fun trying to get through it while it's under development.
It is what it is.
But it is what it is. I mean, we're going to eventually have to look at this. And if we wait, so say this doesn't pass, what happens?
Don't call me in 5 years.
Yeah. Right.
This is,
right.
I can't imagine what it's going to be like
Right.
if we don't improve our roads.
And this is going to take time to develop. So if we're saying no now, and in 5 years we've gotten bigger and we can't expand, it's going to take, even then, it's going to take a couple more years. So this is really what people need to be thinking about when they're looking at this bond.
Yes.
So really guys, do your research. That's a big thing. I mean, I can tell you, I'll probably get people. Look, I can't even vote in the city. I live outside.
But you still use our roads.
Right. But I still use your roads. But I promise you, I will get either a text or a phone call from someone that lives in the city that says, so what do you think I should do about this bond? Okay, well, if you want my opinion, here it is. But they aren't doing, I'm seeing a lot of people don't want to do their research. And it's really very, very detailed, not hard to understand. There's the website, there's a pamphlet, and you can get these pamphlets if they like things in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
How can they get it?
Well, we're going to be I'm talking at the Rotary Club this week.
Okay.
I'm also talking to the Chamber of Commerce get together. That's going to be a big one.
Right. Which is the 21st,
you can go to City
right?
Hall. I believe so. And you can also go by City Hall and get it. And I tell you what, my email is cfletcher@burlesontx.com. Send me an email, put your phone number on it, put your address on it. You want me to bring it to you, I'll try to do it. Okay. And I return it. And
awesome.
that is something that I do. I call everybody back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, we'll be right back after these messages.
Abnormal realities.
I love my mom.
Yep. She sent me a message.
My mom did?
Yeah, Wednesday night. And she invited me over tomorrow night to watch Titanic and share a bowl of popcorn. And I accepted.
You did?
Yep.
That'd be fun.
And she calls it Chaps Only Night. Every Saturday night.
Look.
Miss Dixie,
Look,
how you doing? He said, it's my mom, bro. All right, it's my mom.
I want to hear the answer to the Titanic and popcorn. Go ahead, Mom. What's up?
Oh!
Hi, boys. I
Hi,
just
Mom.
wanted to ask Rocky if he wanted butter on that popcorn or not.
I
my
would rather
God.
have the butter somewhere else, but if popcorn's the only place I can have it, I'll take it.
Jeez,
Hey,
dude.
nobody says I can't roll around in it for a little bit.
All right, Mom.
That is my
Love you.
girl. I love
you,
you,
Mom.
Dixie.
Abnormal realities
Bye, Mom. Love
Oh,
you.
Dixie.
Bye. I love you too.
with Ron and Rocky. Weekdays, 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. on JoCo Community Radio.
Holy crap.
Out of deck carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered. When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leach Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson, Cleveland, Texas. Leach Brothers has been family-owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
Welcome back to the second half of JoCo Community Radio. We are proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and we are live 365 on TuneIn Radio Network. To listen or watch, simply go to the tuneinjoco.com to choose where and how. And it's been updated and it looks really nice, guys. The JoCo Community Radio app is also now available for free on your Android or Apple devices. Simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more on the JoCoCommunityRadio.com. This episode and more is brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep, Nona Reed, at 844. Shout out Nona. Yeah. Sorry, had to do that.
Why not? That's
Hey,
what
I know.
that's what every show
Everybody
host
does it. Might as well do it for myself. 844 text
Hail. That's good. Well, hey, I'm Tiffany Carlin. Now I'm finally here with Nona Reed and
Oh, but
Burleson.
why were you having a hard time getting here?
Let me just tell you, the traffic on Renfro. I
Getting an echo.
seriously. Oh, hold up. It's probably me. On my computer.
There we go.
Yeah. I cannot wait to widen Renfro.
There you go.
I cannot wait. I actually, there was a complaint of us who live east on Renfro as to why they came out and did turn lanes in certain places and didn't just go ahead and widen it. But that's been a question since I've moved to Texas. They
Correct.
just don't, TxDOT just does not seem to plan for the future. And so for 25 years, we've literally been under construction since I moved here. And it
We
doesn't
really
matter
have.
where, they just don't plan
Well, that
for
was
the growth.
That was the whole deal about getting everybody on the boards. and
Yeah.
getting more of a presence, getting Johnson County more in front of TxDOT.
Well, you know what's so interesting? 25 years ago when I chose to move here, my sister was already here, so she was obviously a factor. My other sister was in Dallas, but I opened up a magazine. I was living back in New Jersey after living in Florida and Pittsburgh, and I opened up a magazine, 10 Fastest Growing Cities in the U.S., and Fort Worth was one of them. And that's one of the reasons I chose to be here. So 25 years ago, it was at that time one of the 10 fastest growing areas in the United States.
And it's back up there.
And again, it's never stopped. The growth has never stopped during that time period. However, I don't understand how TxDOT didn't continue the growth plan in the same way, that Houston and, because Houston's up there too in the top 10.
Well, I was explaining to Nona how the process works on that. Just Dallas Fort Worth had a bigger voice. Okay. And when I go to these board meetings and it's always about Tarrant or always about Dallas, it's about the west corridor.
Yeah.
And I said, so how big's the footprint of the west corridor? Finally, it's kind of came to a head. And now we're starting to get some small towns involved and stuff like Scott Kane, the mayor of Cleburne. He's going to start getting involved, and we're going to start creating our own voice. They have forgot about us, and that's ending.
Well, this is where people are moving to, and when you have people who are transplanting from the East Coast of the United States, it's more condensed.
Buying houses unseen.
Yes,
Right.
California.
Yes.
Californians are buying houses unseen because it's more
40%.
this is a more cost-effective place to live right now until they start pricing us out of our own homes. And we're talking property taxes, not city taxes. Growth is inevitable, and with that comes purse strings. I mean, we have to pay. Somebody has to pay for it.
I know.
And that's just a part of what it is. We can't just say, well, we don't want this growth, so we're just not going to approve these bonds.
It's not going to go away.
There's a website out there that I agree with. It's called Texas Nonpartisan, and
I agree with it too.
And it's basically getting rid of property tax, and I agree with it 100%.
Me too.
And they're against the bond. I understand the mindset, but whether we do a consumer tax or whether we keep the property tax, we can't shut down what we're doing on our roads and stuff. To say we're not going to build bonds because we hate the property tax is going to dig us a hole.
Right.
And I'm for a replacement of property tax. My question to them is, how does the city get their money out of this, and who is in charge of setting that? Because basically, I don't trust a whole lot of people that are politicians. Please don't call me a politician. But I don't trust who's going to say, okay, here's your share. And how about the small towns that doesn't have the growth we have? Are they going to get the same kind of money as we do?
Right.
We have issues that other towns don't have right now. So there's questions to be asked on that. And everything about replacing the property tax system, I agree with. But my job is to protect Burleson. How do we get our money for our needs? Okay. So.
All right.
Okay.
Well, there we are. So before I got here, and I was listening as I was driving in here, my mule, really slow, my turtle, a mule. Then you're talking like a jackass, and then people take that in a completely different wrong direction. So I had to give you a little. I had to give you a morning laugh. So you guys discussed Proposition A, which is public infrastructure, which is part of what this money is going to go for. Let's talk Proposition B, public safety facilities.
Turn your book to song later.
Yeah, right. Well, let me ask you a question, because I know on April 21st we have the State of the City. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, you can get them from the Chamber of Commerce. It's a luncheon. Highly recommended, because you will be talking about the bond. Will you be providing these at the luncheon?
Yes, every table
these
will have
books, a stack of books.
And not only that, call in your questions. You can. I'm going to get up at the end and answer questions at the end of this, and so send your questions in. If so be it. If someone has a question there, I'll stay as long as they want to.
And if they want to put their question on here, right?
On social media.
On social media. Sorry, I said here. Slap me there. Yes, on social media, on this post or the bond,
directly on the website.
Yeah.
You can go to the Burleson, Texas Facebook page.
Send your questions.
Yeah.
And I don't care what the question is. Just send your questions. And like I say, vote yes, vote no. That's up to you. Just have the right information.
Don't put it on a random group page, guys. Think about where you're putting it and where it's going to be. It needs to be directed towards
be accurate.
The right place.
Yes, that's all I ask.
Contact the city.
Right.
It's that simple.
Right.
Just contact
if you got
the
a
city.
question, I think you can also send it to Gabrina over to the chamber.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I know there's one gentleman that is very good about having questions, and I know this is something we've talked about. Once he got the book and started looking at the book, y'all were like, "You don't have any questions?" He's like, "No."
Yeah, I was talking in front of this group, and I'm sitting there looking at this guy, going, "I'm fixing to get blasted." He never said a word, and I said, "What? I thought you had a bunch of questions." He said, "All the answers was in the book."
Right.
Yeah.
Everything was in
So-
there. I didn't have any questions after I looked at the book.
So now that I see how thick and how heavy this book is, I was going to ask if you guys were going to do a mailer of this, but clearly this would be
No, but
very
Well,
costly.
no, look on the back.
But
You
he,
have the QR codes, right?
Yeah,
but he
you can
also
go to
said
it.
he
You can
would
get that on your
hand
phone.
deliver, especially if it was
Yeah, I gave
someone
her
who couldn't get out.
my email address, a phone number. Send me your address.
Well, this
I'll
is-
drop a book off.
This would be a very simple thing to do too if several businesses in town that are frequented quite often took the back page of this or even got it in a flyer from the city and hang it in the window where people could walk by and snap the QR
That's a good
code.
idea.
That,
I'll see what we
we'll
can
put
do
one
on
here in the window at JoCo,
Yeah.
and that would be a great opportunity too. It's got all the information on the back of the cover that you could possibly need.
We've got
to-
a little Reader's Digest version that's a little cheaper than this one is. So I can get a bunch of those too. We can stick.
I mean,
those
I
out.
just think that doing a mailer of that one with the QR codes on it
Mhm.
to the bigger book would be very, very helpful.
Well, I believe we do have a mailer going out. It's got the QR code on it.
Okay, that's great. That's I
it
think
goes
that's
out in
it's
the
needed.
billing or something. I'm
Okay.
not sure on that, but I believe so.
The challenge, I think your greatest challenge is going to be not just the lack of information or people doing their research, but it's just actually getting people to go vote. We know that
Vote.
I agree.
when we're doing midterm elections,
Yes.
the voter turnout is disgustingly sad.
It is.
And then
It
people
is.
wanna
doesn't
complain
take that
afterwards.
long
And
to
that's
go
one of the
vote.
reasons I'm doing all this.
But that's a lack of paying attention that there is an election.
Right.
And you have a lot of people who don't vote thinking that, well, it's not important. Well, this is important.
This
We're
is very
talking
important. Yes.
roads, fire, police.
Yes.
This is a lot of stuff that people complain
There's
about.
no
These are
flower beds in this.
oh, thank God. These are hot topics, and these have been hot topics for the past year
Yes.
Mhm.
with city council. So these are things that you really do want to pay attention to. So let's dive in on Proposition B.
Turn to
The issuance of $52,360,000 bonds by the city of Burleson, Texas, for construction, improvement, and equipment of public safety facilities, and levying a tax sufficient to make the payments of principal and interest thereon. That's in comparison to Prop A, which is $33,645,000 in bonds for streets and road improvements in the city and levying a tax sufficient to make the payments of principal and interest thereof. So you're getting more bang for your buck on Prop B, in my opinion, because we've got other things that we need. So
Mhm.
let's talk about the specifics in Proposition B.
Well, if you kick over to page 20, it has the background. This is what's really neat about this is it gives the background of why we're needing this now. In 2009, there was a study done that showed the need for 32,000 square feet. Okay. I do not want to go back and blame anybody. This has nothing to do with the past. This is what we're doing now. But we found a deal in the facility that we're in now, which was 24,000 square feet. Okay. And it worked out. It was, I probably would have voted for it too.
Mhm.
So we got in there and now we're not just in the same boat, but the boat has leaks in it.
Mhm.
So we've got a problem with several things. There's just one of the examples is we have a property room. The property room is where we keep all the evidence.
Mhm.
By law, we have to keep this in a secure area. It's full. It is full. We have to even if this passes, we're still going to have to figure out a way to manage this
Until this.
until
yeah.
we get the
Mhm.
facility up and going. Officers, 20,000 more people coming. Okay. We're understaffed now.
Mhm.
We got 20,000 more. The lieutenants have no place to sit. We have already cut our office areas in half and sharing. So we have issues on that.
Mhm.
This is something that is, you can't say one's more important than the other because the police department is just as important as the roads because the police use the roads,
And
the fire department too.
right.
So which is more important? I mean, this is the chicken or the egg type
Right.
deal. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got to understand that we're in a bind on this facility. We've got the dirt to put it on, but and we're looking. The police structure itself has a lot of building codes for their safety
Right.
by law. Okay, and the experience we've had in the facility we had. So it's expensive to build this. So we're looking at other facilities that do not have to have outhouses of that do not have to have those same restraints. So, and that'll get our costs down on that. But yeah, I mean,
on the headquarters, I know this could be a question because I'm just thinking about it myself. I know when we grew out of the police department that we had,
you talking about on Johnson?
yes.
Okay.
And now that we're where we're at, we eliminated our jails. Are we going to bring our jails back? Because I know that's money also that it's time for our police officers leaving our city to go
to Mansfield or Johnson.
Yeah, usually Mansfield. And I mean, it's a good hour. I mean, when you look at the whole process, they're out of our town for an hour.
No, I agree. And it's in
so
this.
Is this bringing back the jails here?
We want to.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go back.
These thought that was a good.
These are all estimate.
Pull his mic up a little bit.
These are all estimated numbers. Okay. Really, we're guessing because there's never been an economic model like this in Texas. Everything's expensive. Is it going to go up? Maybe so.
Right.
So when we go down through these line items, when it's actually time to pull this trigger on this, we have to take a look if it's the cost that we can afford.
Right.
Are we going to do it in phases? Maybe we need to do this. Maybe we need to design this kind of like we did the church, where we have a phase 1 and a phase 2, where we can afford it as we go.
Right.
This is still under the control of the council of when we start this and how much we're going to spend. Okay. So when we do all of this, we want the jail. We do.
Good. Okay.
Can we afford it?
Maybe not right now.
Maybe not right now.
Okay.
So keep in mind that we're going back to the same thing we started with, is the fact it's 80 some odd $1 million. We're not yanking everything out right now.
Correct.
We have processes we have to do. Then we can sell those bonds and access the money. But and we got a great director of finance in Martin. He manages all this. So we're not raising taxes. We're not doing any of all that. And it's not going to touch our rate. Okay.
And this would allow for more police officers to be hired, correct? Or is this different?
That's already in the budget.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's already.
What you're saying is we have already that in the budget, and we're getting them no matter what.
Right.
So
Bond is
now
for
we
capital.
need a facility.
Bond is for capital. This is for buildings and stuff like that. That's not salaries. We don't
Right. It's a completely
money.
different budget.
Yes.
It's a completely different budget you guys already approved.
So don't get the two mixed up. We don't borrow money on something that can change down the road.
Right.
Okay.
So the proposition for police facility expansion consists of expanding the current facility from 24,000 square feet to 62,500, remodeling the existing facility to repurpose existing space for officers and staff, an 8,000 square foot training center, a 3,000 square foot public safety dispatch communication center, a 4,500 square foot support building to house evidence and equipment, repurposing and adding parking spaces inside the perimeter fence for the officer security. It all sounds very reasonable. I mean, these are things that we have to do. We have challenges here and we have growth. It's happening. We have to have somewhere proper to put them. I mean, imagine if we didn't have the bigger building now and we're still dealing with the small one on Johnson. I mean, clearly you can look at the difference and go, okay, there's just no way we could have fit them in that building. So we're going to have to figure something out. Literally. How do we do it? With growth comes more crime. Unfortunately, it comes, more car accidents. I mean, all these things have been part of the study. and to look at what
2 studies.
what's going to happen in the
Mhm.
future. You talked about 6 years ago and how things weren't handled properly, to be honest. These projections were already there because I was on the bond committee for the school bond. We saw the numbers there. We knew these numbers were coming. So did things not get handled right 6 years ago or
It
5
doesn't
years? It's
matter.
very possible. But here we are now. We have to deal with the problem in front of us now. We can't just ignore it. So Fire Station 4 construction. Give the background on Fire Station 4.
Okay, we're growing out towards the toll road, and the summit is going to be built. Okay,
Mhm.
and that's going to be a partnership with Rocky Bransom and his group, in the fact that they want to hook onto our sewer line. The decision was made, and I know this is the wrong term. I use business sayings. I look at a P&L over long term. That is a 1.4. Now this is an old number.
Mhm.
This is before all the inflation and everything. It was 1.4 billion in assets to the city, property tax. Okay, bad word, but I understand that. When you have that kind of development going in, and this is a beautiful. I mean,
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean the parks, the layout. It's called a planned development. Okay.
They knocked it out of the park with this.
This
with
is
this,
the new right. There's 3 park, equestrian center. The pools are phenomenal. Splash pads.
A 16 over or 65 and older.
There's a 55 and older.
55 and older community.
Yeah, and it's not. They're not sitting around twiddling their thumbs either.
There's lots of activities to do, and it's beautiful.
Go ride
stunning.
horses. Yeah, they did their research on this.
Yeah, they really did. I was really, really impressed.
So
last
the
Monday night.
roads going out there is the sewer line, the roads, trying to get traffic over to the toll road instead of 174, but keeping that all in Burleson. We also have purchased the Hooper project. The city has bought that, and there is a office park going in next to it that we're developing that area in that area. This will have its own retail center. Everything about this is phenomenal.
Well, and I want to I want to throw something out there too on this. If this bond doesn't happen, we have to understand that the growth is still happening, and when we don't use a bond of some sort, we have to understand that when any new business builds in that area, those impact fees get dumped on them, and they're already astronomical.
I agree.
So we have to have some sort of balance here to where the impact fees don't completely fall onto the business owner who's bringing more tax dollars to the city. It's a whole nother issue, but these are things that you have to weigh all of these factors in when you're looking at this. It's going to cost somebody.
But that's not our subject today.
No, okay. I'm just trying to say that if the bond doesn't get approved, these are things that fall onto businesses who then will not build their businesses here.
Well, and
it's not affordable.
The problem we've got, and I'm the cause of this, is there's 2 types of bonds. Is there a certificate of obligation, and then there's a general obligation. Okay. And the only difference, the interest rate, the bond are all the same. It's how they approve the bond. A certificate of obligation can be done by the council. We can vote it in. General is by the citizens. That's the reason we're having the bond election. That's the reason we had the citizens to work on the bond and everything. I called for this, and the council went along with it. They agreed, but I wanted the citizens to have a say in this. Now here's where I'm at. If this doesn't get approved because it is a general, the problem we've got is we can't go back and do a certificate of obligation on it for 3 years. So we have to figure out other ways to pay for these construction costs.
Well, I think it was right for you to give it back to the.
I do too. I don't have regrets on doing that, because that money belongs to the people.
7 or 8 members. I can't think of how many are on there
On the committee?
on the commit. Well, no, on the city, on the
7.
city. Okay. Yeah. So it shouldn't be just up to those 7, especially if people are not giving, talking to them and telling them how they feel. I think it's best that it was given back to the citizens.
I
Well,
do too. I agree with that.
we're talking about money, and the city
Right.
is not owned by the council or by the mayor or
Right.
by the city staff. It's owned by the people, and therefore it should always be by the voice of the people.
100%.
When you're talking about this kind of money and how to spend it or what to do with it, it should be what the people want. So, regarding the fire station 4, that's going to be out towards the
Yes.
Chisholm Trail Parkway,
Mhm.
construction 1,944 square foot 4-bay fire station on the western portion of Burleson, living quarters for 11 fire personnel, a storm shelter, training room, community engagement space, and an office for the Burleson Police
Oh,
Department.
nice.
So it's kind of giving them a dual facility
Exactly.
in out on the west side of
Side.
town where it's going to be needed because we're going to have that much growth over there.
Right.
So
Correct. And you remember we're taking over the ambulance service, which all the ambulances was paid by ARP
Right.
money. Dispatch
Mhm.
was paid by ARP money. It was said it was the worst business model ever. I would love to have a business model where my capital equipment was paid for by somebody else. My people was trained and ready to go. Everything. So
I saw the comparisons.
So
There's
that-
no comparison to
there's
taking it
none
in house.
whatsoever. So now we have an ambulance service up in that area, into those areas that need that ambulance service.
Right.
So this is all good.
And response time
It's
response time
it's
was the
nuts greater.
Yes.
biggest the
Absolutely.
biggest difference. And I was talking to Callie Crow, who's one of our show hosts, and she's a first responder, and she's out she's a little further out in the country, and when she's talking about response time, she goes, and then the challenge is then when you've got someone out sick, you're down a whole unit, right?
Yeah.
So for them, they only have 2. So then they've got to, now if they got to get someone to come in, they're coming in from Fort Worth to where they're going, and that's 30 minutes. So it's a good thing to have your own.
Yes, and this
have
is going to
control
help.
of it.
This is going to help Johnson County too. Now,
Mhm.
are we going to do this for free? No,
Right.
we're going out there taking care. We're the first responders typically that show up, and then somebody else comes in, hauls them off, and gets the bill. We don't.
Right.
Well, I'd like
So-
to propose this because we got 30 seconds left. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us. I'd love to have you back next week so we can pull this apart a little bit more in depth. If somebody's got questions, please email the mayor at
Fletcher.
C Fletcher at
BurlesonTX.
burlesontx.com to pull up the bond information, burlesontx.com/2022 bond, or stop by the radio station. We'll have the QR code posted in the window. Have an amazing day.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you back here tomorrow morning.
Appreciate it.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County. JoCo Community Radio.